Good morning. Good morning and welcome to First Unitarian Universalist Church of Nashville. My name is Jay Tiefenbrunn. My pronouns are she, hers, and I am very pleased to be your director of music ministries. It's my pleasure to welcome you this morning to our online worship. Our collaborative pianist is Hollingsmith-Bourne, and we'll hear from him in a few minutes. If you're watching live, you'll see buttons that will bring you to our website, firstuunash.org. And if you're watching via YouTube or Facebook, you can visit us there to click on the With You Worship portal button for all the information that you need to participate in today's worship, including the order of service, joys and concerns, and the offering. This morning, we are grateful for the voices of Jess Hudeman, Marayo Akande, and Chelsea Sardani to lead us in singing our opening song, number 389, Gathered Here. Will you join us?
Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, spirits draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in the mystery of the body, gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in the mystery of the body, gathered here in the struggles and the body, gathered here in the struggle of the power, gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in the mystery of the body, gathered here in the struggles and the body, gathered here in the struggle of the power, spirit draw near.
I invite you to connect into your heart space and reach out with your energy to connect with all of those worshiping with us this morning. Won't you say hello in the chat to let us know that you're here? Good morning.
Our chalice lighting was written by Maureen Killoran. As the kindling of this chalice calls us to community, let there be light. As the flame of this chalice reminds us of our values, let there be light. As the glow of this chalice encourages us to hope, let there be light. Good morning. I am Denise Gouch, your assistant minister, and it is my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker this morning. Sara Green is one of our congregation's affiliated ministers. Many will remember that she served as our ministerial intern in 2017 and 18. Since then, she's been employed by the UUA, the Unitarian Universalist Association's Lifespan Engagement Office, to work with young people of color. She joins us today from the farm in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee, which she, her spouse, and 3 kids share with 15 sheep, 8 chickens, 5 pigs, 3 dogs, and a goat. We are so glad you're with us, Sara.
Good morning. I'm going to hand it off to Peyton and AJ for our call to worship this morning, titled River Call by Manish Mishra Marzetti.
Between rocking the boat and sitting down, between stirring things up and peaceably going along,
we find ourselves here in community,
each called for many different journeys, many different life paths onto this river road.
Some are here because the rocking of the boat has been too much.
Too much tumult, too much uncertainty, too much pain.
Some are here with questions about where the boat is going, how best to steer, where this journey ends.
Others are here as lovers of the journey, lovers of life itself.
Each a passenger, here in front, beside, behind.
Each a passenger, each a captain, doing the best we can.
Rest here in your boat with me, the river calls.
Listen to how I flow, the sound of life coursing all around you.
Let the current hold you, let the current guide you. The river that gently flows through your soul whispers, come let us worship.
Good morning. Our story today, Sharpening an Iron Bar into a Needle, comes from a tradition of very, very old Chinese wisdom stories that were intended to teach the values and the virtues that were desired amongst the people. Once upon a time, a long, long time ago, lived a boy named Li Bai. Although his father had very high expectations of him, Li Bai simply did not like school. His family sent him to a private school, but Li Bai thought that books were dense and difficult and hard to understand, so he didn't even try. He claimed that books contained nothing interesting. Li Bai often slipped out of the classroom without permission, finding much that fascinated him outside in nature. One day, tired of reading and sitting still, he put down his book and slipped out to play. Taking in the blue sky and the warm sunshine, the birds singing, he wandered as far as the outskirts of town and found himself by the side of a stream. So he took off his shoes and waded in, wiggling his toes in the mud, hoping to catch a fish. Li Bai walked slowly along the streambed, trying to snatch a fish whenever one brushed up against his ankles. Before long, he came upon an old lady sitting on the ground by the stream. She was sharpening a thick iron bar, grinding it back and forth between a stone on the ground and one in her hands. Li Bai watched her. Focused and determined, she worked extremely hard at her task. "Hello, grandmother," Li Bai said, addressing her with the respect due an elder. Can you please tell me what you are doing? The old woman looked up and smiled. Without stopping her work, she replied, I am sharpening this iron rod into a needle. Confused because the rod looked far bigger than any needle Levi had ever seen, he asked, You mean a needle you sew with? Yes, someday it will be, she said. Astonished, Levi asked, How can a bar so thick ever become a needle? The old lady looked up from her grinding. That is an excellent question. She smiled. You know that even a tiny drop of water, if it never lets up, will wear down the hardest stone. So how can I fail if I stay with it day after day? But, said Levi, looking down shyly, you are already so old. This job will take 100 years. Once I make up my mind to do something, the old woman said, I see it through. She looked at Levi and smiled. I will always be successful if I apply myself and don't give up. Hearing what the old lady said and watching her earnest effort moved Levi greatly. In fact, it changed his life. From that point on, he understood that success depends on sincere effort and perseverance, perhaps especially in our studies, since they are the most difficult task we face. Anything, Levi decided, could be achieved if you worked at it every day. So Levi returned to his school. He opened the books he had found so difficult and began to read. He worked hard each day, making slow but steady progress, and eventually he became one of the greatest poets and scholars of the Tang dynasty. And so ends our story.
Good morning. My name again is Denise Couch, and I am still very pleased to be your assistant minister. I have the honor of welcoming you to worship. As Unitarian Universalists, our spiritual paths vary, but in this congregation, we have made a covenant together. We affirm our interdependence, celebrate our differences, and work for justice. We are a welcoming congregation, and we deepen our relationships as we serve our congregation's mission to create community, nurture spiritual growth, and act on our values in the broader world, guided by reason and compassion. I'd like to extend a special welcome to visitors worshiping with us this morning. If you are seeking a spiritual home, we hope that you may find it with us. All are welcome at our services, and people become members of this congregation by signing the membership book and supporting the church with their time and finances. If you are considering joining the church or would just like more information about us, please be in touch with me, Denise Couch, your assistant minister, by email. You can find my address in the on the website in the staff directory under Contact Us. That's at firstuunash.org. Following the service, we hope everyone will enjoy at least one of the online opportunities for fellowship listed in our online worship portal, and our website holds many other announcements of interest, which I hope you will read. You may know that we share every Sunday's collection with an organization whose work outside our walls aligns with our values. For the month of July, our Share the Plate partner is Safe Haven, and they have sent us a video with information about their work with families experiencing homelessness.
Hey y'all, my name is Emily Rattle and I'm with Safe Haven Family Shelter. Over the past few years I've come and actually spoken at your church, but things look a little bit different this year. So I just wanted to give you a little idea of what Safe Haven is and what part of your offering is going towards. So Safe Haven has been in the Nashville community for 35 years, and we house, support, empower, and advocate for families who are experiencing homelessness. So what does that look like? So we have 10 families that we work with up to 6 months to a year, and we help them find housing, employment, financial assistance, and then with our kiddos or adults that want some educational support, we help them with that as well. So overall, it's not a here's a key, see you later. It's a here's a key and how can we continue to support you up to 6 months to a year, depending on what a family needs. So last year we housed over 100 families, which since the new building opened in 2013, we wanted to do something that was remarkable, and we did it last year, and that was awesome. And this year we are hoping to reach that goal yet again. And thankfully we have 2 amazing hardworking women on our housing staff, and what they've been doing is continuing to house our families. So to this date we have housed over 50 families, which is on track for that 100 mark at the end of December when our year is up. So we are still moving and grooving. Not a tornado, not COVID, or a giant blackout can stop Safe Havens from supporting and advocating for these families. So overall, we are just so thankful for your partnership and everything that you guys do for us, from providing meals to helping with childcare, and then even some financial assistance as well. It's community partners like you that help us stay afloat in uncertain times and even in certain times, and we are so thankful for your commitment to our community. So thank you so much, and we appreciate it.
Right now, we do not have the pleasure of passing the offering bowls around among us, but our finance folks have made sure that anyone, anytime, can access the online donation form at firstuunash.org. If you would like to mail a check to the church, please write in the memo line how you would like your donation to be used. If you want your gift to be credited to your pledge, please write pledge. If you write Sunday offering, it will be donated to our Share the Plate partner. In the season of virtual offering bowls, we are especially grateful for the steady generosity that allows us, both within and beyond the congregation, to continue creating community, nurturing spiritual growth, and acting on our values. We are also deeply grateful for your presence with us, and I invite you now to join in our weekly ritual of gathered community. Following the upcoming musical interlude, we will share the joys and concerns submitted through the online form, provided permission is given on that form. All joys and concerns will be shared as usual with our lay ministry team. But now, for just a moment, I invite you to settle yourselves in whatever space you are occupying right now and know deep within yourself that you make that space holy just by being there. And feel also how you are connected with all the rest of us. Across space and time, we are a gathered community, and you are a precious part of that community. And as you sit or stand or lie wherever you are, as you breathe, as we breathe together, I invite you to think over the last hours or days that have brought you to this moment of gathered community. And you may find that you bring to this moment some joy or a sorrow, a worry or a celebration that you would like to make present to this community. And if so, I invite you to use the musical interlude coming up to submit on that Joys and Concerns form that you can see a button for on your screen or through the worship portal. Submit that. And if not, just be here breathing with the rest of the community. Now, let us listen. Thank you, Holling. I have a joy to share from Holling Smith-Bourne. He writes, grateful to have attended a summer UU virtual camp this week, MUSA, the Midwest UU Summer Assembly, and to enjoy the guest speaker and musician Glenn Rideout. It was a rejuvenating experience. And it looks like that's all I have submitted this morning. I know that there are more joys and more concerns that lie as yet unspoken in our hearts. So please now join me in a spirit of prayer. Spirit of life and love, we are grateful for this opportunity to gather in community, to feel ourselves connected to those with whom we can share our joys, our sorrows, our concerns. We are grateful for a summer day, for the sun, the rain, the growing plants, the animals living their busy summer lives around us, for our communities carrying on with life, with connection, with doing our business, with loving each other, no matter what comes our way. We are mindful also of the struggles for justice, for repairing harm, for creating a more fair and equitable world, those struggles that have gone on and are still going on, no matter the news, no matter the weather, no matter the season. We pray that we may become people who are ever more engaged in those struggles, because we know they will only bind our community closer together. They will create the world in which we hope to live, the world in which our children will someday live and grow and be happy. May we be mindful always of the things we can do to build more justice, to create more love, to support each other and all of our siblings. Blessed be. Amen.
Our reading for the day comes from this book called The Body Keeps Score by Dr. Bessel van der Volk. Dr. van der Volk writes, nobody can treat a horrific or a traumatic event. What has happened cannot be undone. But what can be dealt with are the imprints of the trauma on body, mind, and soul. The crushing sensations in your chest that you may label as anxiety or depression, the fear of losing control, always being on alert for danger or rejection, the self-loathing, the nightmares and flashbacks, the fog that keeps you from staying on task and from engaging fully in what you are doing, and being unable to fully open your heart to another human being. Trauma robs you of that feeling that you are in charge of yourself, or what I call self-leadership. The challenge of recovery is to reestablish ownership of your body and your mind, of yourself. This means feeling free to know what you know and feel what you feel without becoming overwhelmed, enraged, ashamed, or collapsed. For most people, this involves finding a way to become calm and focused, learning to maintain that calm in response to images, thoughts, sounds, or physical sensations that remind you of the past, and finding a way to be fully alive and present and engaged with the people around you. And lastly, not having to keep secrets from yourself. including the secrets about the ways that you have managed to survive. The fundamental issue in resolving traumatic stress is to restore the proper balance between the rational and emotional brains so that you can feel in charge of how you react and how you conduct your life. When we're triggered into states of hyper or hypoarousal, we are pushed outside our window of tolerance, the range of optimal functioning. And then we become reactive and disorganized. Our filters stop working. Sounds and lights bother us. Unwanted images from the past intrude on our minds, and we panic or fly into rages. If we're shut down, we feel numb in body and mind. Our thinking becomes sluggish and we have trouble getting out of our chairs. If we want to change post-traumatic reactions, we have to access the emotional brain and do limbic system therapy, repairing faulty alarm systems and restoring the emotional brain to its ordinary job of being a quiet background presence that takes care of the housekeeping of our body, ensuring that you eat, sleep, connect with intimate partners, protect your children, and defend against danger.
Would you join in singing this traditional Navajo chant, Ancient Mother? Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your song. Ancient Mother, I hear your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears. Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your song. Ancient Mother, I hear your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears. Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your song. Ancient Mother, I hear your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears.
I'm going to bring up Mackenzie to the mic, and she's going to read our meditation, which is titled Fancy and Fact by Richard Gilbert.
Let us learn to play with life, for we seem to work too hard at it. Let us learn to sing when we have only spoken, for the melody casts our words on winds of hope. Let us learn to enjoy cadences of poetry instead of pages of prose, for they may be closer to the rhythms of life. Let us make room for fancy while we give fact a rest. Let us make more time to build a snowman than to shovel a walk. Let us lift our face to the heavens and let the snow caress our eyes and tantalize our tongues. While we forget its treacheries underfoot, let us learn to smile when we are tired with the work we have to do. Let us laugh when our tensions give rise to anger. Let us learn to be merciful when we want to be judgmental. Let us play in the fields of myth and legend for news and facts that will always be there. Let us sample the whimsical words of the poets more than the studied words of scholars. Let our thoughts roam in realms of imagination rather than linger in quagmires of reality. May hope find its way into our hearts, even when our minds tell us there is no hope. May charity speak to us, even when we have nothing to give. May loving kindness be with us when our store of love is exhausted. Let it be so for a time, for a season, and perhaps that season will linger and take hold, never to let us go.
All right. I invite you to center yourself in a moment of silence for just a couple of moments. And this morning, I'm not really gonna even ask you to close your eyes. I'm gonna ask you to look around where you are. Notice all of the colors, but notice where the light is coming in. Notice the textures where you are. Notice the shape of the chair or the bed you're in. And then kind of zoom it in to notice your body without changing. Well, before I get started, it's so good to be here with y'all in this weird and wonky way. I feel like it's been a while. I've been busy. Y'all have been busy, and that is all very exciting. And 2020 is the whole thing. So it's just good to take some time out of the year to like be here and speak to this moment. And some things that I think will help us transition with more health in mind. So do you remember at the time right after you met a developmental milestone? Maybe the first time that you said no or gave an exuberant yes. That's a milestone. The first time you were like, yes, that is what I want. Or what about the first time you learned how to tie your shoe? Or the first time that you signed a legal binding document that you actually understood? That's a milestone. What about, when you mastered that critical part in a new skill, playing the guitar or building a house, whatever? Remember that time, the time like right after? Well, I remember a time that I did my first double pirouette on point. I think I was about in 11th grade. See, I had been on point before, like 6th grade, but then my teacher, Miss Charlotte, moved to a new studio and told me that I was too young and messed up my feet. So I continued to work in flat ballet slippers until about 9th grade, and that I could hypothetically try it again. Well, 9th grade was the year of Hurricane Katrina, so that kind of felt like a blur, but I was finally back into my groove by 11th grade. But by that point, I wasn't really great on point. So it was mostly my confidence or arrogance or peer pressure that got me through. Either way, I landed it. And I felt like I was changed forever. I walked around like a whole new ballerina. I was like, yes, give me that tutu. Give me those tights. The tiara, it's mine. I can do a double. Collective bodies have moments like these. I'm thinking of collective bodies as groups of folks that move in the world together. like all the different ways people organize themselves into groups, like families, workspaces, towns, nation states, racialized communities, almost all identity groups. And these groups react and feel together. Not always the same thing, but all of them, the feelings ripple through the community in a distinct and differentiated way from another collective body. For example, when the Supreme Court during Obergefell and Hodges ruled that the institution of marriage was guaranteed for same-sex couples, several collective bodies reacted differently and in different ways. A majority of white, middle-class, lesbian, and gay folks, a collective body, were exuberant. They had been working on this for such a long time. They had organized people and money. This was a big win. And Black trans women felt slightly different when the numbers of trans folks continued to climb unprecedented numbers each year without much recourse. The collective body of lawmakers in Alabama responded by adjusting marriage laws so that no religious or legal officiant had to be present for the marriage to be valid. It's just a notary. And the list goes on and on. Take for a moment a chance to reflect on how the collective bodies you're a part of reacted to that moment. For those of us who were like, oh my gosh, I'm disoriented. It's 2020. I don't know what day it is. This was about in 2015. Feel free to share in the chat. How was it like in your community? What were the conversations? What were the feelings? What were the celebrations? What were the laments? Okay, so collective bodies feel together and they act together, all in service of surviving or justice or thriving, or, you know, however a collective body understands those kind of nebulous terms. Collective bodies also experience trauma together, big T trauma and little t trauma, and other types of trauma. Among the clinical definitions of trauma, there are acute trauma, that immediate one-time trauma. There's chronic trauma, or a series of repetitive harmful events. And then complex trauma, one where many systems are at play and actions and just things are kind of a storm of things. I, as a non-certified non-psychologist, would also put early childhood trauma in the mix for the conversation today. And that's the kind of trauma that goes on to form our attachment bonds and our emotional regulations. So like, did our caregiver pick us up when we cried? Those sorts of things. Basically, it's kind of like, you know, when you were little, you had a need, was that need met? And if not, that kind of determines how we move through the world as adults. So that exists also in collective bodies. As people are storming and norming their group dynamics in relationship to others. So storming and norming is kind of like, there's a new organizing group that's coming together and they're gonna start off really high and then they're gonna storm it out and then like meet some sort of equilibrium situation. And that's kind of like in that storming and norming phase is what I'm kind of thinking of. Early childhood trauma in collective bodies. Like what are the ways our needs were met or not met in the forming of groups? For example, think about the history of whiteness in the US and the arguments that get played out over and over again and the ways white supremacist groups behave in terms of secure attachment and emotional regulation as a collective body. From my perspective, I see a lot of insecure attachment, of like anxiety around their personhood, which is about attachment and relationship to others. And the ability to emotionally regulate, to know that like, this is a threat, this is not a threat. And we see that in these police killings of Black bodies. Honestly, we are all just a collective bodies, a jumble of collective bodies working out all of those traumas, group trauma, individual trauma, systemic things. It's a whole lot. So what is going to give? Well, somatics. The power of collective bodies lies in their somatic intelligence, or the ability to discern information and to decide to act with intention and vision. Also, like the ability to know, like, this is my, like, this is it. I think there's a lot of wisdom from disability communities that have a lot of somatic intelligence about like, I need to do this thing. What information do I have? And how do I discern how to act? That I may not have seen modeled for myself outside of like who I am. When we move by our traumas, our bodies and our collective bodies are on autopilot. Like in the reading we heard earlier, we are dispossessed. So possessed meaning like we have ownership of ourselves. Dispossessed means that we do not feel in control. We are not in control of our emotions or our actions. Our nervous systems, like, oh, I got goosebumps just thinking about the nervous system. The like, some people call the lizard brain, it is a wreck. We sense fear when we are safe. We know abundance as only shallow, lethal, and empty treats. We seek attention. We lash out. Or we are eerily still and quiet. We do nothing. We are apathetic. Our wires are totally crossed. But returning to our collective bodies and that somatic intelligence helps us to get closer to what Octavia Butler gifts us in the form of this earthseed voice. God is change, of course, and in the end, God prevails. Meanwhile, kindness eases change. Love quiets fear, and a sweet and powerful obsession blunts pain, diverts rage, and engages each of us in the greatest, most intense of our chosen struggles. Here, Octavia is offering us the gift of knowing that we know that we know that change is the only constant, and that practicing kindness and love helps us ease the transitions. But let's not get it twisted, because if a song and dance every Sunday was the key to ease the transitions, we wouldn't be here today in this moment in 2020. What I don't want y'all to miss is that Octavia invites us into a positive obsession, a rigorous praxis of tenderness and love within our collective bodies. So let me ask you this. When was the last time you felt like you had a regular and rigorous positive obsession? How did you care for it? Did you care for it by simply thinking about it? By only sitting still on a cushion? By journaling about it in a book no one else was able to read? If you had a baby and you just thought about loving it the baby would die. But the kind of care and attention that you would offer to a newborn is the kind of positive obsession I think Octavia Butler is trying to get us to channel. Sure, thinking about it and sitting still on a cushion and journaling are part of it. But the obsession, the positive obsession that Octavia is calling for, is one that will truly engage us, is one of doing, of action, of movement in our collective bodies, of somatics. Think about your muscles. Think about when they are not engaged. And think about if you can, all of the things that have to go into motion for that muscle to be engaged. I mean, it's impossible. It is totally consuming. Some of us have already been developing our somatic practice in our communities, and it shows. And we have what the folks at Generative Somatics call a somatic opening as a result of their work. They call a somatic opening like this, that it works through the body to access and transform survival reactions, experience that have shaped us, and emotions or numbing that have become automatic. Our bodies tell stories. Our muscles hold memories. And somatic opening allows us to listen to and transform these stories. While some of us delight in the emptiness of 23 states with Black Lives Matter painted on the streets, some of us have organized in 3 of those states for ending impunity for cops who abuse their power. While some of us turn Breonna Taylor's death into a meme, others have worked to remove the Confederate battle flag from the Mississippi state flag. While some of us have kept their monthly giving to a comfortable amount, others have raised over $50,000 to help a queer Black woman reclaim a family home in rural North Carolina in 3 days. I'm just saying it's not all the same. But where do we start? I want to offer you this. I want to offer you that it starts with dancing. Not the pretty stuff that we see in the ballet, and not the highly mechanized choreography. It's more like contact improvisation. This dancing requires of us that we tune in to each other with the kind of curiosity only love can afford us. We have to be able to feel each other without the ways we have come to know each other. We have to be able to sense each other without all of the stuff that we've learned to pile on. And then we have to develop the most passionate and zealous obsession with transforming ourselves through practicing it with our flesh and through our traumas, by putting our collective bodies in motion and practicing over and over and over again how to shift and shift and shift. And I will leave you with an embodied practice because, I am still Sara, and I have 4 wonderful assistants that are going to join me in a rowing exercise. I'll walk us through it. We've practiced, so if you do it by yourself, it is not going to be the same because we practice. So we're going to get a semicircle, and then we are going to follow the leader. I'm going to start out as the leader, and they're just going to do what I do. And here we are listening to each other's pace. Wow. And we're going to shift together. And we're going to listen without our ears and our eyes, just with the feeling of our collective body as a family. I'm going to invite one of the other folks in my family to take the lead quietly, but so that others can hear. And we're going to find a stillness here. May it be so.
Thank you so much, Sarah and family, for bringing that movement to our service. Our closing song is number 1002, Comfort Me by Mimi Bornstein. Our song leaders today are the duo Unfolding, Sarah Jebian and Laura Weiss, and we are grateful to them for sharing their music with us.
Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Pray with me, pray with me, pray with me, oh my soul. Pray with me, pray with me, pray with me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul.
The words to our Chalice Extinguishing, written by Elizabeth Sell Jones, can be found at the bottom of the order of service. Please join us.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Our benediction is a non-traditional blessing adapted by Sister Ruth Fox. May God bless you with discontent, with easy answers, half-truths, superficial relationships, so that you will live from deep within your heart. May God bless you with anger at injustice, oppression, abuse, and exploitation of people so that you will work for justice, equality, and peace. May God bless you with tears to shed for those who suffer from pain, rejection, starvation, and war, so that you will reach out your hand to comfort them and to change their pain to joy. May God bless you with the foolishness to think you can make a difference in this world so that you will do the things which others tell you cannot be done. If you have the courage to accept these blessings, then God will also bless you with happiness because you will know that you have made life better for others. Inner peace because you will have worked to secure an outer peace for others. Laughter because your heart will be light. Fabulous friends because they will recognize your worth as a person. These blessings are yours, not for the asking, but for the giving, from the one who wants to be your companion, Spirit of life and love, who lives and reigns forever and ever. Amen. Our service is over. May our service begin again renewed.